When a person is struck by illness, the first instinct is often to seek doctors, medicines, and remedies. While these are all means that Allah has permitted, the believer understands that behind every cure lies the will of the one who controls all affairs. It is He who allows the medicine to work, and it is He who can cure without any medicine at all. The real remedy begins with the heart that turns towards its Creator in full sincerity, acknowledging His supreme power. The one who raises his hands in dua, whispering to Allah, is engaging in the most powerful act of healing, for it is not merely words, but a declaration of complete dependency on the one who says in the Qur'an, "Call upon me, I will respond to you." Surah Ghafir 40:60. Imagine the man who came to the Prophet Muhammad complaining of pain. The Prophet advised him to place his hand on the spot of pain and say, Bismillah 3 times, followed by, I seek refuge in the glory and power of Allah from the evil of what I feel and what I fear. He taught that even simple words, when spoken with conviction, hold the power to bring instant relief. This is not because of the words themselves, but because of the heart behind them. A heart filled with certainty that Allah is listening and capable of all things. This level of sincerity transforms a supplication into a healing force. The power of sincere dua is not limited to extraordinary people. It is accessible to every believer who understands that Allah is closer to him than his jugular vein. The heart that calls out with desperation, brokenness, and trust finds its dua lifted swiftly to the heavens. Consider the woman who once came to the Prophet seeking advice for her illness. She chose patience over immediate relief because of her love for Allah. But even then she was assured of paradise. Yet how many times have we seen people today call upon Allah during sickness, and moments later they experience a peace that no medicine could provide? Their hearts are healed even if their bodies are still waiting for physical recovery. The companions of the Prophet witnessed countless moments when dua brought immediate results. Once a man severely bitten by a scorpion came to them. One companion recited Surah Al-Fatiha over him as a form of ruqya, spiritual healing, and by Allah's will, the man was cured instantly. This shows that healing through prayer is not a distant miracle, but a living reality for those who sincerely believe. The heart state during dua determines the speed and form of Allah's response. When a believer prays sincerely, his dua ascends through the heavens, crossing layers upon layers of creation. Angels carry it, and if the heart is free from arrogance, doubts, and distractions, the answer may come quicker than one imagines. The Prophet once mentioned that a servant's dua is accepted as long as he does not become hasty, saying, I prayed, but I have not been answered. This shows that one of the greatest signs of sincere dua is patience. The belief that even if healing does not appear instantly, the prayer has already reached Allah and is working in ways unseen. Sometimes Allah answers immediately, healing a disease that doctors had declared incurable. Other times He grants the servant patience, turning the illness itself into a purification of sins and elevation of ranks. The believer understands that every breath, every beat of the heart, and every moment of health or sickness is under the control of the one who created all things from nothing. Even a single drop of water that enters the body and nourishes it is by His command. Thus, how difficult would it be for Allah to heal His servant in a moment when he calls upon Him with absolute sincerity? The Prophet once saw a man so thin and weak from illness that he could barely stand. When asked if he made any specific prayer, the man replied that he used to ask Allah for punishment in this world so he wouldn't face it in the hereafter. The Prophet gently corrected him, teaching us to always ask for good health and well-being and to seek refuge from trials. This incident shows that dua should always come from a place of hope, mercy, and confidence in Allah's kindness, rather than from a misunderstanding of hardship. When illness strikes, many become anxious, fearing the worst, but for the one who trusts Allah and calls upon Him sincerely, even the worst diagnosis loses its terror. The heart becomes content, knowing that healing is in the hands of the most merciful. The peace that settles within is itself a miraculous form of healing. The one who feels this tranquility often experiences physical improvements that even baffle medical experts. For the body responds to the state of the heart. A calm, hopeful, and trusting heart sends signals of stability throughout the body's systems, making healing a natural outcome. The Prophet taught us beautiful, comprehensive du'as for healing, such as, O Allah, Lord of mankind, remove the harm and cure, him or her, you are the healer. There is no healing except your healing, a healing that leaves no trace of sickness. These words, when uttered with genuine belief, are not merely hopeful wishes, but firm declarations that healing lies solely with Allah. The believer who says this, placing full reliance on his Lord, finds his heart immediately lightened, as though a heavy burden has been lifted. When the mother of believers, Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, observed the Prophet performing ruqya for others, she adopted the same practice, teaching us that even within the family, sincere dua for one another brings healing by the will of Allah. The believer does not limit Allah's power based on what he sees in the physical world. He knows that for Allah, the impossible is possible. The one who believes this, prays with this certainty and surrenders entirely, may witness diseases vanish in moments, not because of the prayer itself, but because of the depth of trust placed in the one who never fails his servant. When a person falls ill, often the first pain is not physical but emotional. The heart trembles with fear, the mind races with worry, and the soul feels burdened with uncertainty. In these moments, even before the body is touched by any cure, it is the heart that seeks relief. Allah in His infinite mercy sends healing to the heart before He heals the body. The moment a servant sincerely turns to Him, raising hands in dua, acknowledging his weakness and affirming Allah's greatness, a calmness begins to settle. This is the first sign of healing, a tranquility that no doctor can prescribe and no medicine can manufacture. The heart that remembers Allah during difficulty tastes a sweetness that can overpower the bitterness of any disease. The Qur'an declares, indeed, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. This divine rest enters the heart even when the physical illness remains. One might still feel the fever, the pain, or the weakness, but inside the soul feels as if a burden has been lifted. It is as though the servant is being reminded that he is not alone in his suffering. The Lord who created him is fully aware of his pain, fully capable of removing it, and fully in control of every moment. The Prophet Muhammad experienced severe illnesses during his lifetime. Yet in those moments he would remember Allah constantly, repeating words of praise and supplication. When he visited the sick, he would not only pray for their physical healing, but would remind them of the immense reward and mercy hidden in their patience. Once, when al-Sa'ib was sick and complaining about her fever, the Prophet told her, "Do not curse the fever, for it removes sins, as a furnace removes impurities from iron." This shows that even while the body suffers, the heart can be elevated, purified, and healed through spiritual nearness to Allah. There are countless instances where a person, overwhelmed by illness, finds immediate relief not through tablets or injections but through sincere remembrance and dua. The peace that descends upon a person after turning to Allah has been witnessed by countless believers across the world. It may begin with tears flowing down the cheeks, words whispered in desperation, and a heart fully surrendered to its Lord. This submission itself is a powerful medicine. The moment one admits full dependence on Allah, a shift takes place inside the heart. Worries begin to fade and hope begins to rise. The Prophet once mentioned that a believer's affair is always good, whether in ease or in hardship, because he remains connected to Allah. When illness strikes, this connection becomes even stronger. The servant realizes his helplessness, and in doing so, he tastes the sweetness of full reliance on Allah. The body may still carry the signs of disease, but the heart feels lighter, stronger, and more at peace than before. This inner healing often leads to quicker physical recovery, for the mind and body respond to the state of the heart. In the life of the Prophet, there are many beautiful examples of how prayer and remembrance brought comfort, even in the most severe trials. During the painful moments of his final illness, he continued to recite the Qur'an, to seek refuge in Allah, and to remind his companions of patience and trust. His heart remained firmly attached to Allah until the very end, showing us that true healing begins within. Even when the body weakens, the soul that is connected to Allah remains unshaken.
When a believer recites words of remembrance, حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم, he reaffirms his absolute trust in Allah's power. This reliance brings a calmness that settles into the heart like a soothing breeze on a hot day. The anxiety that once dominated the mind starts to dissipate, and a strange, unexplainable sense of peace takes its place. This is the healing of the heart, a healing that often arrives instantly when the dawah is sincere. الرب تاني الربتاني.
There is a deep secret known to the hearts that believe. Healing does not solely reside in the tablets consumed or the treatments administered. It rests, ultimately, in the hands of the one who created both the disease and its cure. Medicine is a means, but the true healer is Allah. The one who understands this reality carries within him a tranquility that no calamity can shake. When sickness strikes, the believer's first step is always towards Allah, raising his hands, lowering his head, and placing his trust completely in the most merciful. This is the essence of tawakkul, true reliance on Allah, which brings about healing in ways that often defy the logic of this world. The Prophet Muhammad taught his companions that while they should take necessary steps for their health, their hearts should remain attached only to Allah. Once a man came to him and asked if he should tie his camel or leave it untied while placing his trust in Allah. The Prophet responded with wisdom, "Tie your camel and trust in Allah." This powerful teaching applies to every aspect of life, including illness. A believer does not reject medicine, but his ultimate hope lies not in the prescription, but in the will of his Lord. Often, when a doctor prescribes medicine, the patient feels comforted. Yet there are many who, despite taking every available treatment, find no relief. Conversely, there are those who, with limited resources, find themselves suddenly cured. The difference lies not in the medicine, but in the decree of Allah and the state of the heart that depends on Him. Healing that happens through the strength of tawakkul is swift, powerful, and leaves the believer awed by the mercy of Allah. The Prophet once mentioned that 70,000 of his followers would enter paradise without reckoning. There are those who do not rely on omens or superstitions, but place complete trust in their Lord. The companions of the Prophet lived this reality. Once, a group of them was traveling when they were approached by a tribe whose leader was bitten by a venomous creature. Desperate and without options, they asked the companions for help. One of them recited Surah Al-Fatiha over the man, and by Allah's will, he was cured instantly. The companions knew it was not their recitation that healed the man, but Allah, who responded to the sincere reliance placed upon him. Their trust was not in their own ability, but in the power of Allah's word. When tawakkul fills the heart, fear dissolves. The believer understands that no harm can reach him except by Allah's permission, and no cure can miss him if Allah has willed it. This surrender gives strength even when the body feels weak. The servant who combines medical treatment with unshakable reliance on Allah often witnesses outcomes that surpass the expectations of those around him. Physicians may explain the healing through medical terms, but the believer sees it as the manifestation of Allah's mercy responding to his trust. The Prophet used to frequently supplicate, "O Allah, suffice me with what you have permitted over what you have forbidden, and make me independent of all others besides you." This comprehensive dua shows how reliance on Allah extends to every aspect of life, including health. True independence and strength come from knowing that every breath and every heartbeat is under the care of Allah. When illness strikes and the believer recites such du'as from a place of humility, even the darkest moments are lit with hope. In the early days of Islam, there were companions who suffered from severe injuries and illnesses, yet their hearts radiated peace because of their firm trust in Allah's plan. One such example is that of Khabbab ibn al-Arat, who endured unspeakable torture yet remained patient and always turned to Allah. His reliance gave him a strength that amazed even his enemies. While his body suffered, his soul was firm, and eventually his patience became a cause for the spread of Islam itself. Reliance on Allah transforms the nature of the illness itself. It no longer becomes a punishment or a source of despair, but a moment of connection with the Creator. The heart that depends on Allah never feels abandoned, even in the darkest nights of pain. Healing may come instantly, slowly, or in a form different than what was expected, but the believer knows with certainty that whatever Allah chooses is always better for him. The remembrance of Allah carries a power that penetrates the deepest wounds of the heart and the most stubborn illnesses of the body. When a person engages in dhikr, the constant mention of Allah's names and attributes, his entire being is surrounded by divine mercy. The peace that floods the heart in these moments becomes a healing force stronger than any physical remedy. The Qur'an declares this truth in simple but profound words. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. The heart, which is the command center of the body, when filled with peace, sends waves of healing throughout the physical form. The Prophet Muhammad taught that the most beloved words to Allah are the simplest. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. These words, though short, carry immense spiritual weight. When a person sits during his pain and repeats them with sincerity, he opens a door to healing that transcends the limitations of this world. The repetition of these words cleanses the soul, removes hidden anxiety, and strengthens the heart's resilience. The body often follows where the heart leads, and when the heart is firm in remembrance, the body finds comfort and strength even in the face of disease. The companions of the Prophet practiced this deeply. When Bilal ibn Rabah, may Allah be pleased with him, was tortured for his faith, lying on the hot sands under the weight of a heavy stone, he continued to utter, Ahad, Ahad, one, one. His body was broken, but his heart was in complete remembrance of Allah. The physical torture did not weaken his soul, and even as his body suffered, his heart remained in perfect peace. This peace, born from remembrance, has the power to sustain and even heal a person when all worldly means fail. Illness often brings with it not just physical discomfort but emotional turmoil. Fear, anxiety, and hopelessness creep into the hearts of many. But the one who fills these moments with the remembrance of Allah finds himself lifted above these waves. The Prophet once advised that whoever recites the morning and evening adhkar, those specific remembrances taught by him, is protected from harm. These include seeking refuge in Allah from all forms of illness, evil, and distress. The one who makes this a habit finds that even when trials come, they are met with a fortified heart, shielded by divine protection. Consider the man who, upon falling ill, starts to repeat, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no power nor strength except with Allah. This statement is not merely an acknowledgement of human weakness, but a powerful declaration of Allah's supreme control. Every repetition strengthens the heart's conviction that healing lies only with Allah. This unshakable belief often results in physical relief, sometimes in ways that leave even medical experts astonished. The relationship between the state of the heart and the condition of the body is far deeper than science can explain, and remembrance bridges this connection with divine light. The Prophet would often visit the sick, gently reminding them of Allah's mercy and encouraging them to increase in dhikr. In one narration he said, whoever frequently asks Allah for forgiveness, Allah will provide him relief from every worry, a way out from every hardship, and provision from sources he never expected. Illness becomes lighter when the heart engages in remembrance. For the servant feels a closeness to his Lord that reduces the weight of any pain. The sweetness of faith fills the emptiness created by the sickness. And in many cases, Allah responds by not only healing the heart, but also restoring health to the body. When one reflects on the example of Ayub, Job, whose body was ravaged by disease for years, the power of remembrance becomes even clearer. Despite his severe physical condition, he remained constant in remembering Allah, never complaining, never despairing. His heart was steadfast, and when Allah willed, He restored him to perfect health, honoring his patience and unwavering dhikr. The heart that remembers Allah during illness becomes elevated, and often this elevation itself becomes the reason for miraculous healing that occurs in moments when hope seems lost. Every trial a believer faces, including sickness, carries within it an opportunity to be elevated by Allah. Sickness is not merely a physical condition, it is a spiritual station where a believer draws closer to his Creator. The Prophet Muhammad taught that no fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim, even a prick of a thorn, but that Allah expiates some of his sins because of it. This divine mercy transforms the entire experience of illness into a means of purification, cleansing the soul and preparing it for higher ranks in the hereafter. When a believer falls ill, he is placed in a state of helplessness. This helplessness is not a curse, but a blessing, for it forces the servant to turn back to the one who controls all affairs. In moments of weakness, pride and arrogance are stripped away, and the true nature of servitude is revealed. The pain of the body softens the hardness of the heart, and the tears that flow from the eyes wash away sins that may have accumulated over years. This is why the illness of a believer is often described as a gift in disguise. The Prophet himself experienced physical pain and hardship during his lifetime. Despite being the most beloved to Allah, he suffered fevers, wounds from battles, and the loss of his loved ones. Yet he always turned to Allah with patience and trust, In these moments, his status was being elevated even higher, teaching his ummah that trials are a sign of Allah's love for his servant. The more beloved a person is to Allah, the more he may be tested, not as punishment, but as a means of drawing him nearer. When a servant responds to sickness with patience, gratitude, and remembrance, his rank with Allah increases. Angels are sent to record his patience, and each moment of pain becomes a moment of reward. The Prophet once visited a woman who was severely ill and told her, "Be patient, for you will have no reckoning." She chose to remain patient, knowing that enduring the trial with faith would bring her unimaginable rewards in the hereafter. This shows the immense honor that patience during illness holds in the sight of Allah. The story of Ayub alayhi is one of the most profound examples of this reality. He was tested with severe illness, the loss of wealth, and the loss of his children. Yet his response was always one of patience and gratitude. He continuously praised Allah, never uttering a word of complaint. When he finally called upon Allah, it was not with frustration, but with humility. "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful." His patience elevated him to a status of immense honor, and Allah restored everything he had lost, doubling his blessings. The believer who endures illness with patience also gains an inner strength that worldly comfort cannot provide. As his body weakens, his soul grows stronger. His connection to the Qur'an deepens, his du'as become more heartfelt, and his reliance on Allah becomes complete. This transformation is not visible to the eye, but its effects are profound. The sickness becomes a teacher, guiding the servant to the true essence of submission and trust. There are countless examples from the lives of the righteous who saw sickness not as misfortune, but as an opportunity for growth. Ibn al-Qayyim, a great scholar, wrote extensively about how trials bring about spiritual elevation. He explained that the pain a believer experiences serves to detach his heart from the worldly life and attach it firmly to the hereafter. Every sigh, every tear, every restless night becomes a source of reward when borne with faith. Even the smallest acts of patience during illness, smiling despite the pain, thanking Allah after a sleepless night, or whispering words of dhikr through labored breaths, are multiplied in reward. The angels write down every moment of endurance, and these moments may outweigh years of worship. This is the hidden wisdom in Allah's decree, for the trial that seems harsh is in reality a gate to immense mercy and elevation. The power of prayer is not confined by time, nor limited by the nature of the request. The believer who sincerely calls upon Allah understands that his Lord can change any condition in a moment, even in seconds. For the one who created the heavens and the earth with a single command, "Be," and it is. What difficulty is there in curing a disease, no matter how serious it appears to the eyes of people? The Qur'an reminds us of this immense power in many places, emphasizing that nothing is beyond his ability. The moment a servant raises his hands and whispers his need, he connects to the one whose command controls every cell, every heartbeat, every breath. The Prophet Muhammad taught that no supplication is lost. Either it is answered immediately, or it is stored as a reward for the hereafter, or it is used to avert a greater calamity. This assurance should fill the heart of every believer with hope, even when the doctors have given up. For Allah is not bound by the predictions of medical science, nor is His mercy limited by human understanding. How many have witnessed diseases vanish suddenly after a moment of sincere dua? How many have seen impossible situations turned into ease through a few heartfelt words spoken in the quiet of the night? One of the most remarkable examples of this can be seen in the life of the Prophet himself. During the Battle of Badr, outnumbered and facing defeat, he raised his hands high, begging Allah for victory. His supplication was so intense that his cloak fell from his shoulders. In response to that powerful prayer, Allah sent angels to support the believers, granting them victory against all odds. This shows the speed and power with which Allah can respond when the heart is sincere, even in situations that seem utterly hopeless. When a believer makes dua while truly believing in Allah's ability, his heart submits completely. This is the secret to prayers being answered quickly. The Prophet emphasized this when he said, "Call upon Allah while being certain of His response." It is this certainty, this deep conviction, that opens doors to miraculous outcomes. When the heart fully believes that Allah can cure even the most severe illness in a moment, it aligns itself with divine mercy, and healing descends with a swiftness that surprises both the afflicted and those around him. The companions of the Prophet witnessed many such miracles. Once a man was suffering from severe illness, and the Prophet placed his hand on him and recited a simple supplication. O Lord of mankind, remove the harm and cure him, for you are the healer. There is no healing except your healing, a healing that leaves no illness behind. By Allah's will, the man was cured instantly. This powerful prayer continues to be taught and practiced by believers around the world, a reminder that Allah's healing can arrive in seconds when He wills. There are countless believers who, after exhausting all worldly means, turn to Allah in desperation, crying in suhood during the last third of the night, pouring out their pain and placing their trust entirely in Him. Many testify that relief comes in ways they never imagined: sudden improvement, unexpected recovery, or the complete disappearance of illness. The heart that believes fully in Allah's power witnesses these wonders not because of any strength of its own, but because of the generosity of the one being called upon. Even the angels themselves are moved by the sincerity of such prayers. They carry the supplications to the highest heavens, and Allah responds with mercy that descends upon the servant like a cool breeze after scorching heat. This is the beauty of prayer in Islam. It connects the servant directly to the Creator, bypassing all intermediaries, opening doors of healing, mercy, and relief that no human effort can replicate. The instant healing that occurs for some is a testament to Allah's mercy and a reminder to all believers that nothing is too difficult for the one who says to a thing, "Be," and it is.